Hey guys, welcome back to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today we're going to be watching the 1955 historical drama Lola Montez. This is a film by director Max Ophüls. It stars Martine Carol, Peter Ustinov, and Anton Walbrook. Max Ophüls has been a director that I've been wanting to get into for a while, so this seemed like a good entry point. I've previously seen some works by the director, including another collaboration with him and Walbrook, Laurent, and yeah, I'm interested to see more of his work. This is the beginning of a three-part series I intend to do on the fictional character of Lola. Lola as a character archetype has been explored by some really great directors across many decades of European cinema. This is our beginning point. We're going to begin our journey in the 50s, go into the 60s, and then make our final destination in the 80s. Yeah, I'm excited to check this one out. Lola Montes is a historical figure that apparently was a showman, a dancer, a mistress, a historical sex worker. Lots of interesting stuff to to emerge from this, I suppose. So yeah, let's watch Lola Montez. And before I get started, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. I read that this was done in kind of a collaborative work to showcase European cinema, and so it was filmed in 3 languages. I don't know how many other productions did this, but that was also true of the Dreyer film, 1930 something, Dreyer film Vampire, which apparently had an incredibly troubled production history because they had to film it 3 times over in 3 different languages.
Et maintenant, mesdames et messieurs, l'attraction que vous attendez, le numéro le plus sensationnel du siècle. Ladies and gentlemen, meine Damen und Herren,
Willkommen, bienvenue. And already we get such an expansive camera.
Et voici, mesdames et messieurs, la vérité, rien que la vérité.
Rien la vérité.
Extraordinaire de Lola Montès.
So we were already been cued in by the fact that this is taking place in the circus, but also by the dialogue, by the scenario that speaking that this will be nothing but the truth, that we already have to question the belief of how much of this story will be truthful.
Ça va aller.
Montès vous répondra aux questions les plus choquantes,
Yeah, oh my gosh, the 360 shot.
aux questions les plus intimes, aux questions les plus indiscrètes.
And this interesting depiction of women, especially beautiful women, especially celebrity women, as a curiosity, as somebody to answer your burgeoning questions, your burning questions, kind of in the position of a Scheherazade. I can imagine in my head Peter Greenaway loving this, loving Ophüls.
Allez-y, monsieur,
This looks so much like the Baby of Macon to me.
Elle vous dira tout.
And Baby of Macon features a similar idea of the kind of sexual life of a woman being questioned by an audience, that a woman's sexual history is something to be consumed and devoured by a lecherous audience. And the kind of irony of that presentation in Baby of Macon is that it's supposed to be a passion play, that we're simultaneously like judging these characters and holding them up to a holy standard while enjoying the sexual intrigue.
À Paris.
À Paris,
Le docteur t'a donné quelque chose?
Maurice s'est allé à la pharmacie.
la comtesse n'a pas d'enfant.
Est-ce que sa mère était comme elle?
Okay, pause. So we already see this question come up a lot right now, so I just want to direct how this film in 1955 is kind of already addressing this idea. We've already brought up that this is going to be about female celebritydom and the kind of very specific prurient interests that come along with a woman who's in the public spotlight. But we've already seen this issue come up with currently in modern day discourse around public figures like Marilyn Monroe specifically has been in public discourse a lot recently, but also tangentially figures like Amber Heard and Evan Rachel Wood. That there's like a value judgment ascribed to public figures, female public figures, that their sexuality is somehow in question, and as a result, their character is in question, that there's no such thing as them playing a perfect victim, that they're all subject to scrutiny, subject to libelous claims, subject to the kind of errant thoughts of this crowd, of this mob, and there's just this feedback loop that's created of because you're interested in this figure, and because you're kind of like because of social mores or whatever, you feel kind of guilty about your interest in this figure. Your interest in this figure becomes kind of tainted and becomes negative, and you ascribe that negativity to their character, and the more negative their character, the more interested you become, and there's this feedback loop created of to the degree that these female celebrities, these female public figures, become a public scapegoat, a way for a society to channel all of its negative emotions into this kind of female sacrifice. And this is also something that's touched upon in Baby of Macon, that public figures, or that figures that are considered public property to a degree, end up becoming consumed by the public in sometimes metaphorical ways, but sometimes incredibly vicious, visceral, and real ways. Already very interesting movie, much like different themes than I was really expecting it to bring up.
Mais les deux,
Quel tour de table et quelle pointure, Lola, s'il vous plaît.
plus tard.
Look at Lola's measurements, Jesus.
Oh, il y a une question là-bas. Répétez-la.
Combien d'amants, Lola?
Le parade des amants. Envoyez les amants.
And a question of like them deserving it because they have done some sort of action that has encouraged or has justified this kind of public scrutiny. It's already such an interesting film.
Encore Saint-Lieu, Monsieur Lise.
Ooh, Mr. List. I was actually wanting to do a series on filmic depictions of composers, so we can count this in that.
Demain matin, très tôt, nous partirons pour Rome.
How big is this carriage?
Oh, là, arrêtez.
Already in the dimensions of this carriage, we get a sense of unreality of this depiction.
Les interprètes ont dansé à ma fantaisie. Tu es fatigué par la musique.
Non.
Nice.
Voilà, chérie.
Are they going to portray this character as like supine for a lot of this movie? Lola Montes is just constantly sleeping, constantly dreaming. Her thoughts are private to herself, and everybody else just kind of imposes thoughts upon her. And we actually see a contradiction to the story from the first, from the story of Liszt, that people assume that she leaves. People assume that she leaves the men in her life because she's a femme fatale, but we see from the first, with the depiction of Liszt, that he leaves her.
Le baiser d'adieu, c'est important. Il faut qu'on puisse s'en souvenir. Voilà. C'est fini. Il n'y a que ça dans la vie, tu verras. Un soir, je serai dans la même ville que toi. J'y danserai. Toi, tu donneras un concert.
That's going to end up happening. It actually kind of speaks to an interesting outlook that Lola has on life. It's laying down a very soft framework, but that she's going to be a passive character in her own life, that she doesn't actually have a lot of control. Rather than saying that life is deterministic, she says that it's a compendium of, she says that it's a bunch of coincidences combined together.
Sa jeunesse heureuse et sa brillante adolescence. Elle fut une belle petite fille qui adorait les ballons rouges. En classe, toujours la première.
Bonsoir, madame.
Ça t'amuse? Ça t'amuse toujours autant?
Oh oui, madame, je voudrais que ça finisse jamais.
Tu as raison.
Circus never ends. You get on and you get off. The actors change, but the characters stay the same. Ophüls was apparently a particularly influential director on Stanley Kubrick, and one of the things that Kubrick cited as being influential or of interest to him of Ophüls' work is his use of tracking shots, the kind of energy and continuity he brings to his pictures by having a moving camera and capturing characters in motion.
Je crois qu'il est temps d'aller te coucher, ma chérie. Bonne nuit. Je crois que demain...
And again, we're seeing further characterizations of Lola as not really being the enterprising femme fatale that she's being portrayed as, but as a character caught up in circumstances. Martine Carol kind of looks like Helen Mirren. Do you think so? I think so.
Tu te couches déjà? Tu fais tes passages?
She almost looks like Dorothy with her blue dress and her pigtails.
Et c'est l'Europe, Paris, la vie brillante. Lola trouve un mari.
Eh bien, tu dors?
C'est extraordinaire. Mais j'ai peur que ça finisse mal.
Allons, viens vite. C'est qu'on nous attend.
She could truly see the end of her own story.
Souris, voyons.
In kind of a Jeanette McCurdy kind of instance, she has a overly controlling mother who has a certain attitude about her prospects.
Il s'agissait d'un homme que je ne connais pas. J'avais des scrupules. Mais le baron était un vieil ami de ton père.
Alors, il doit être très vieux.
Vieux, ça dépend de quel emploi on se passe. C'est un très bel homme, d'une élégance raffinée.
Oh, toi, tu avais épousé un homme bien plus vieux que toi.
Ton père n'était pas très vieux.
Tout de même assez vieux pour être mon père.
Il était le banquier de notre famille. Et les banquiers vieillissent moins vite que leurs clients. Oh, puis je ne te force pas, tu sais. C'est toujours libre de dire non. Quant au baron, j'ai dansé avec lui quand j'étais jeune fille.
Alors, c'est toi qui devais l'épouser.
Oh, insolente! Viens, mais viens donc.
Spider, mais je peux pas dormir. Un roi doit savoir faire respecter l'ordre. Je peux dire sans ça.
All these old men. Oh, so many old men. Which old man will be hers?
Je vous présente les hommages. Je suis ravi de vous voir. Vous savez, ça goûte.
His gout. Ugh.
Oh, je vous félicite, mademoiselle. Non, la Prusse, aucun danger.
Oui, bien sûr, c'est l'Angleterre. Je vous dis que c'est toujours l'Angleterre.
There's an interesting framework that's being established. I kind of wonder if there'll be a repeated image of kind of drapes splitting up the frame. We saw this in the previous courtship with hers and her separation with Lise, that the veil of the bed hung between them or covered them, obscured them slightly, and we're seeing the drapes and the curtains repeated again here with the red velvet of the opera. Going down all those steps again.
Quand j'étais seule avec maman, tout allait bien. Tout ce qui arrive, c'est à cause de vous. Bien qu'on veut me donner un vieux monsieur très riche. Je ne veux pas, je ne veux pas.
Très bien. C'est très bien que je ferai n'importe quoi.
J'ai vu pour la première fois avec votre mère, j'étais...
The slightest taste of autonomy. She can control her life if she can control the affections of this man.
Alors faites quelque chose, je ne sais pas. Épousez-moi. Alors vous venez?
Oui, je...
It's fucked up beyond belief. The man has dated both the mother and the daughter.
Scène de la vie conjugale, évoquée grâce au concours de la troupe des Lilliputiens du Mount Circus, le boudoir.
Jesus.
Le dimanche, à la
So
petite
sumptuous.
église du village.
Open up in there! Open up!
God. Yes, married life. Oh God, the divide between the kind of fantastic and the banal, the real life, the real life. It's just so stark.
Qu'est-ce que j'ai encore fait? Le maîtresse est venue se plaindre, et encore me quitter, une fois de plus. Vous oubliez, ma chère, que nous avons fait un mariage d'amour. On n'échappe pas à un mariage d'amour.
Plaisir d'amour. And again, she's leaving the man, but under different circumstances than you'd expect. You think that's because she's a gold digger, she's a man-eater, but in fact, it's because she's living in an abusive household.
J'aime mieux n'importe quoi.
Attends, laisse-nous seul.
It's a nice canted angle.
Bah, je t'ai trompé, j'ai pour les filles. Bon, mais je commencerai plus, je te promets. Je m'arrête plus.
Oh God, what a beautiful but horrific shot.
J'aime autant te tuer.
La paisible vie de famille ne pouvant suffire indéfiniment à...
Okay, so I'm getting in a more of a sense that these obscurities, these ways of covering the frame and darkening the frame, are more intentional on the part of Ophüls than I gave him credit for. He's always trying to kind of mask the frame, mask the action in a way that perhaps evokes the sense of memory, that things are somewhat obscure, that things are living in kind of a half-remembered state in your mind. And that the kind of details fall away, and what you remember are the kind of the most extreme or powerful acts. And that even to ourselves, memory or the true event of things escapes us.
Après de longues études, elle débute le 18 novembre 1841 à Madrid. Succès foudroyant.
This is such a sad image given its actual universal application of having to dance your life as a circus routine for an audience. This is what living in the public sphere is. And walking a tightrope, of course. The most important act. There's a kind of idea that's represented in both this and Laurent, obviously, of circularity, of continuing on and on and on, that life to a certain degree is on like a track, that it's inescapable, that there's perhaps a dharmic circle, a karmic circle that's inescapable.
Loge de gauche, la grosse. Tu vas voir, ça ne se passera pas comme ça.
It's a beautiful tracking shot. It is a beautiful tracking shot. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh. Ginormous.
Mais je ne vous connais pas, mademoiselle.
Excusez-moi. Il m'a dit qu'il était divorcé, je viens d'apprendre que ce n'est pas vrai. Je n'ai pas beaucoup d'estime pour les femmes mariées. Je déteste les hommes lâches. Tenez, madame. Légalement, il est à vous. D'ailleurs, il est probablement faux. Fais-le entrer. Il est bizarre. Il me fait peur. Personne ne fait peur.
Yeah, they're always kind of disguising or obscuring the frame a little bit.
Et vous désirez?
Vous engagez. J'étais hier au théâtre.
Et ma danse vous a plu?
Pas du tout, vous savez pas danser. Mais vous savez, déclenche. La femme la plus scandaleuse du monde. Le plus grand numéro de scandale. Nous montrons tout ce que les femmes dans la rue rêvent de faire, mais n'ont jamais le courage de faire. Le talent m'intéresse pas.
It never did.
J'aime seulement
Never did.
la force. Vous êtes belle.
Jesus. Tremendous shot.
Mais contrairement à ce que vous croyez, je ne suis pas une machine à scandale.
We'll make you
C'est
one.
toujours ce qui me plaît. Voilà tout.
C'est ce que l'éléphant a pensé aussi.
Oh, wow.
Finalement, il a appris de jouer du piano.
That's an interesting idea of how this like industry of entertainment. I mean, this is kind of a question brought up in Nope as well, that the entertainment industry, while it seems aspirational, while it seems to an outside viewer as a means of freedom and a means of self-expression, it's actually it's a whip. It's a restrictive element. It actually controls you and dominates you and domesticates you, and you come out the other end as a submissive feature.
Lola, je peux vous appeler Lola? Après tout, nous sommes du même métier.
L'uniforme noir avec le plumet blanc. Là, tout seul. Je me rapproche tous les jours, mais ce n'est pas en 6 semaines qu'on arrive à présenter une danseuse au roi.
Ma note d'hôtel aussi à 6 semaines.
Lola!
Lola does what she wants. So, in contrast to what I said before, she is a little... Ooh, Anton Walbrook. She is a little bit... She's grown to be more enterprising and more self-assertive as she's gotten older.
J'aurais dû le dégrader et vous expulser.
Parce que les gens peuvent être mal intentionnés, parce que justement, sire, je suis très bien faite. D'ailleurs, c'est bien simple.
This is how rumors get spread. And again, we get the image of ascendancy. Ascendancy has been established from her first paramour with Frederick, with the Englishman, when they climbed up the opera house.
J'allais chez vous, madame.
All these means of obstructing the screen. It's like so weird. It's such a busy screen.
J'aimerais bien que nous reprenions notre conversation sur la danse.
That's all I want out of a date.
Ou même sur la politique.
Yeah.
Vous avez des vues assez originales. Et sur d'autres sujets.
Yeah, what other topics? Just the balls on Ophüls to keep this fucking rope hanging in the middle of the frame.
Un jour, il lui demande si elle ose apparaître pour lui toute en rose. Elle ose. Et le roi, épris par sa pose, lui offre un palais. C'est déjà quelque chose.
Isn't that Velasquez's nude? That looks like no, maybe that's the wrong ankle, but that looks like the Bolsky, the Rokeby Venus, or not the Rokeby. It looks like the Grand Odalisque. This is an interesting kind of historical background to the painting that was based on, that Ingres was making a break from the predominant classical style of the time and is moving into a less structured, romantic kind of work. And it kind of signifies the break in the traditional aspects of Ferdinand's kingdom into the romantic and the obsessive and the passionate. Oh, that's no good. Who could believe that a woman would cause such a scandal? And yet, we live in such times as well. Yeah, it's just a regular mob. Petite révolution.
Je n'ai pas peur pour moi, j'ai peur pour toi.
And again, we have the fabric obscuring the frame.
N'ayez pas peur. Vous n'avez rien à craindre, Madame la Comtesse. Rien à craindre de moi. De nous. Présenter l'amour, la liberté, tout ce que ces gens-là détestent. Ils veulent vous emprisonner, vous tuer peut-être.
You don't need to tell her that.
La liberté, pour l'amour.
Oh, qu'est-ce que tu veux, les révolutions, ça arrive partout. Chacun son tour.
Allez, vite.
Adieu.
Ja, sie hat eine Ehe gerettet. Sie hat Bayern vor einen Bürgerkrieg gerettet, mein Lieber. Vor allem hat sie sich selber gerettet. Und mit einem Bogen. Er ist nicht einmal 20.
And now they're gonna make a long descent. She's gonna end up back in the circus.
N'ayez pas peur, nous nous battrons pour vous.
J'espère que ça n'arrivera pas.
Hélas, il n'arrive jamais rien.
And she's leaving the town in the same way that she arrived, with the young student in the carriage.
Je suis le premier homme que vous avez rencontré à Bavière et le dernier. Vous vous souvenez? Nous repartons tous les deux. C'était fatal.
Je veux laisser dire tout ce que vous aviez.
Again, with Ophüls making the decision to obstruct her face.
D'abord, vous vous trompez. J'ai beaucoup aimé votre roi. Ça vous étonne. Vous serez à jour que les hommes peuvent espérer très longtemps des miracles. Et ce jour-là, vous serez bien content. Ensuite...
Interesting. A little bit of an overlap with the other movie that I watched today, with with the Bronte sisters, that you turn into an old person when you run out of the ability to work for the things that you hope for, and eventually you don't hope anymore.
C'est qu'il y a quelque chose à casser en moi. Oui. C'est fini.
Elle se retrouvée seule, et c'est ainsi, mesdames et messieurs, que la comtesse de Landsfeld quitta le pouvoir et la gloire.
And so she has to jump at the end. She has to make the leap to the bottom.
Et elle va sauter.
Ce soir, évidemment, comme tous les soirs.
N'avez-vous pas remarqué ces derniers temps qu'elle était moins à droite? Je veux dire qu'elle n'a jamais failli rater. Si vous gardiez le filet pour la fin aujourd'hui, faites ce que je vous demande. Je vous en prie.
A little bit of urgency.
Va dire à Libye qu'il garde le filet ce soir, qu'il nous la lève. Dépêche-toi.
We won't have an act unless she's in danger. What's the point if they don't know whether or not she's going to die?
Pour des raisons de santé, la comtesse de Landsfeld veut prendre des mesures de sécurité. Je vous demande, à vous, Lola Montès, je vous demande si vous acceptez le filet. Oui ou non?
No.
Oui ou non?
Accepte. Tu finiras par te casser la figure.
Yeah, this has been the extended metaphor that's been established throughout this movie of ascendancy and descent.
Are you ready, my dear?
Ready.
Enlevez le filet!
It's disgusting.
Oh.
We don't want to see the drop. Just end it there.
J'ai eu très peur, tu sais, je pourrais pas vivre sans
She
toi.
lives for another day.
C'est bien.
Ça va aller.
She'll be all right. Oh, that's so sad.
Oh, messieurs! Messieurs, payez-vous du plaisir! Voilà, monsieur là.
Oh, so sad.
Voilà, merci.
Merci.
$1 seulement. Voilà. $1 seulement.
This, oh my god.
Je vous en prie.
This is celebrity. This is the public limelight.
$1, c'est rien.
This is also how Baby of Macon ends, in its own terrifying way. Both of them end in this terrifying spectacle of the 100 men, the million men who come to see the woman, the femme publique, the woman on display. A lot of overlap between this and Baby of Macon.
Approchez, messieurs.
Oh, what a disgusting final image.
Ne regretterez pas votre argent, messieurs. $1.
Oh, Jesus, what an ending. Oh, fucking hell. Oh my god. The edited version of this showed it chronologically. What a dumb idea. Whew. This was the last film of Max Ophüls. Oh, wow. Let me read up about this a little. They definitely reduced her cleavage in this. A rare instance of expectation versus reality running the opposite way. This was Ophül's only color film too, as well. Okay, so that there's some interesting things in that. If you want to check out the Blu-ray or DVD, you can check out the liner notes or the booklet that's attached, and it can provide some interesting background about the history of this production and its subsequent release history. Things I want to touch upon in terms of after the viewing of this movie, it's incredibly ornate. Almost off-puttingly ornate, and I can understand why people might not have responded as strongly to this movie at the time of its release. It's just a lot of stuff going on in this movie, and about a subject that I think it's hard for any public of any time to resonate as resolutely with. The character of Lola Montès, historical or fictional, is kind of asking for your sympathy or asking for your understanding without apologizing for any of her actions. And while I do think there's nothing she need apologize for, that's a hard pill for an audience to swallow, for a public to swallow that is so consumed by the ever-churning industry of hating women and of scrutinizing and condemning women publicly, especially women who are content in their own sexuality, women who have multiple lovers, women who bask in the public light. All of these things that we as a society demand and yearn for are also things that we condemn when people have achieved it. So it's a very complicated character to ask for the audience's sympathy with, especially since in this particular iteration, whether because of Martine Carol's acting abilities or because of the script or because of the direction, this is one of the more bland depictions of like a courtesan type character or a public sex symbol kind of character. It really does its damnedest to portray her in a a noble light, maybe not like totally demure, but she seems almost chaste throughout a lot of this movie, and like with the best intentions and the best actions. And she doesn't delight in her own sexuality in the way that a more charismatic performer or a more kind of arch or camp performance of this role would lend itself to. And so I think that creates a little bit of a disconnect as well in this production, that it's that in some ways it is preachy or highfalutin, and simultaneously it is excusing bad behavior and asking the audience to do the same, but also is kind of just a little bit like antiseptic, and just a little bit joyless in its portrayal of that character and her sexuality. So I'm interested in what more flamboyant directors, I don't know if they're more flamboyant than Ophüls, but more flamboyant in their own ways, and more flamboyant actresses will do with this character archetype. I think this movie touched on a lot of what I see as kind of like Ophüls' interests in terms of melding spectacle, entertainment with sexuality. I think for the brief movies, the small list of movies of his that I've seen, that's been an interest of his, where the private act of sexuality interacts with the public act of entertainment, and how they kind of fuel each other. It's like it's like what Colonel Parker says in Elvis, that you know, you want to taste of forbidden fruit, you want to watch something you're not quite sure you should enjoy. That's kind of the titillation that I see in the works of Ophüls that I've viewed, and I think that's on display here. And this production is just so ornate. I really think that it's bogged down a little bit by how much it tries to how many elements it tries to infuse into the work, and have all these kind of obstructions on the screen, and have the kind of I don't know what the technical term for it is, but like if you have like a stage lamp, like closing in the shutters on it, and I know shutters and aperture have a different term or mean something different for cameras, so I'm not using the proper terms. But yeah, like having those shutters or that aperture or whatever it is, reducing down the frame, having fabrics and obstructions and objects get in the way and divide up the frame, and cover Lola's face. It's all interesting and stuff, but it's a little busy for my taste. This was just such a wide film, and I think the CinemaScope really helped with the circus aspects of it. But when it came to like the flashbacks, there were times where I really wanted to be a little bit more in Lola's interior life, and the CinemaScope was just so big, it's impossible to get inside of that character's head, and that was partially a product of Martine Carol's performance. I do understand from a few critics or a few analyst's perspective that this is kind of the appeal or the intended construction of the film, that this interpretation of Lola is supposed to be Sphinx-like and mysterious, and there's a degree of impregnability to the character that we as an audience are supposed to be frustrated by but accept. And I do understand that, and I think that leads to something that where I appreciate an element of the film more than I really love it. But what I really resonated with this story and with its depiction of this character of Lola Montez, this kind of like the murderesses in Chicago, and like Evelyn Nesbit and her swing, the interaction of celebritydom with like with public scapegoating or public sacrifice, that Lola becomes like an object of ridicule and scrutiny and defilement for offering the public what it wants. It's just a fascinating and horrifying interaction. that faces women, female celebrities, female sex symbols, women in the public eye, and I'm sure it was relevant then, but it's a really relevant story now, um, with the way that we were constantly consuming and regurgitating and publishing think pieces on, we really shouldn't ruin this actress's life or this singer's life or this model's life, and then we do it again with the next actress or singer or model, or we do it with the same one over again. Yeah, that final image of her sitting in a cage while men put dollars in a hat to just touch her or see her, just a horrifying image, and so true to life and so true to the public discourse today. I was really surprised by how much overlap this had with Baby from Con, making me think that 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 Peter Greenaway was making deliberate allusions to this. And so that's definitely a movie I'd recommend you check out. Well, it's a very violent and grotesque movie, but if your tastes are okay with that, and you liked the ideas and the images posed in Lola Montez, I would really recommend you would check out Baby of Macon for a similar kind of investigation of these themes of actresses, of public figures, of idolatry. There's like two or three parallel or interrelated stories of public facing figures that runs over the course of that movie. There's a baby that's being born that's actually a saint, and so this canonization of this infant by this town is one story of of public celebrity, of public obsession, of fandom, of mob mentality. Similarly, there's a storyline being run through. It's a passion play, so this baby is a character that's being played in a passion play, and there's a character that's an actress that's playing the baby's mother, similarly runs through this storyline where she's performing this play in order to gain public limelight, gain approval, and gain celebritydom. And there's a similar story of her needing to meet the standard of being the virgin mother of a miracle, of a saint, and how when she kind of steps off of that path, where she's kind of criticized both the character of the mother of this baby and the actress is criticized for having having her own sexuality and having her own wants and desires, and also wanting to be famous. All this stuff is kind of wrapped up in her, and ultimately leads to a horrific end for her. And a side story of the actual birth mother of this baby, and how she's like she's old and infirm, and she's overweight, and I think it's still a virgin birth, but it's not what the public wants out of a female figure, and so she's ultimately like forgotten. She's forgotten like at the beginning of the film, and it's kind of another kind of instance where you're observing what a public wants out of a story, what it wants out of an idol, what it wants out of a sensation or out of a news cycle. And this elderly, ugly, overweight woman doesn't meet the public standard, the standard of being a celebrity, of being an idol, but also of being a scapegoat, of being a sacrifice. Yeah, it's an interesting movie. It's actually one of my favorites, genuinely one of my top 5 favorite films, and I don't recommend it to people to check out because it's hard to find, and it's not to everybody's tastes, but it really touches a lot of buttons for me in terms of film being about performance, film being about co-opting morality, and the performativeness of morality, and about performers and artists, and patronage, and how patronage transforms art and manipulates it, no matter how kind of beautiful or beatific or holy its roots. just by virtue of the person that is paying for the art to be created, manipulates its message and ultimately its effect. I can't really recommend it enough, but I don't recommend it. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this storyline, this character archetype, is interpreted by two other artists. Not that I don't respect Ophüls as a director, but two other artists, directors who I resonate with more or tend to resonate with more. I'm really interested to see what they do with the material, with the sexuality, with the entertainment, with the charisma, with the sex pot, with the showcasing of an actress. So yeah, we'll move on to those. In the meantime, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. Leave a comment down below. Have you seen Lola Montès? Have you seen Max Ophüls' other films? I really want to know your thoughts on it. It's so rare to really get discourse on some of these films, and there's like 10 films that everybody wants to talk about, and 2 of them were made by Quentin Tarantino, and 2 of them were made by Paul Thomas Anderson. I really, really, really would love to have more fruitful discussions about some of these other works. So yeah, that's the demand I'm making of you, I guess. In the meantime, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. And until next time, keep watching good movies.